Hello, in this video we're going to look at the efficient provision of a public good with three different consumers. There are three consumers for a public good with the following inverse demands. Consumer 1, Consumer 2, and Consumer 3. Step 1 is to graph each consumer's demand, and step 2 will vertically add all three demand curves to get the marginal social benefit of the public good. So over here on the right, step 1 is to graph each consumer's demand. So I'll start with this inverse demand for consumer 1. So the vertical intercept is 5, and the horizontal intercept will be 5. Notice that if P is 0, Q will equal 5. So that's consumer 1's demand. The second consumer's demand is 10 minus Q, a vertical intercept of 10, and also a horizontal intercept of 10. So consumer 2's demand. And finally, consumer 3's demand, vertical intercept of 15. If Q is 0, P is 15. And if P is 0, Q is 15. So consumer 3's demand, and it extends all the way down here, even in this black region, until it touches the quantity axis at 15. All right, the next step is to vertically add all three demand curves to get the marginal social benefit curve. And the way I like to do this is start over here at the origin. At the origin, we're going to add up these three vertical intercepts. So if Q is 0, we got 5, 10, and 15, and that sums to 30. We have 1 point on the marginal social benefit curve. Okay, so just 5, 10, and 15, that sums to 30. The next thing I want to do is walk along the quantity axis here and find when one of the demand curves touches a quantity axis. And it's going to, the first demand curve touches a quantity axis right here at 5 units. That will create a kink in the demand curve. So what I'm going to do here at 5 units of output is I'm going to add up the following. I'm going to add up the price from the second demand, and I'm bringing that across. That's going to be 5. Then I'm going to add up the price from the third demand, the third consumer's demand, and that's going to be 10. So if we add 10 plus 5 here, we're going to get 15. And that is going to be another point on the marginal social benefit curve. So you can connect those lines here from this point here all the way up to this point down here. The next step is to do a similar thing. Keep walking along the quantity axis until one of the demand curves touches the horizontal axis, and that's going to occur at 10 units. So there's going to be a kink in the demand curve once again now, but at 10 units of output. So all we're going to do here is going to sum up this 0, and the second consumer's demand is going to be 5 there. So that's where this next point will be on the marginal social benefit curve. And then finally, we keep walking along the quantity axis to where the third consumer's demand curve touches the horizontal axis, and that'll be the last defining point on the marginal social benefit curve. All right, let's move on to the next step to find the efficient provision. So we're going to be driving the marginal social benefit curve, and we're going to start when the price is greater than or equal to 15. And when the price is greater than or equal to 15, we're going to vertically sum the three individual consumers' inverse demand curves. So plugging in for P subscript 1, which is just the equation on the first slide, which was 5 minus Q. The inverse demand for the second consumer is 10 minus Q, and the inverse demand for the third consumer is 15 minus Q. So simplifying that, we get 30 minus 3Q. If the price is between 15 and 5, we will be in the range where we're talking about the inverse demand for the second consumer and the third consumer. We're going to sum those up, making our substitutions. So the marginal social benefit curve in that range is going to be 25 minus 2q. And then finally, if the price is less than 5, we're going to be just dealing with the third consumer, the P subscript 3 inverse demand, making that substitution. We have the following. So again, if the price is greater than or equal to 15, we're dealing with this top half of the marginal social benefit curve. How did we get that? We added up 1, 2, and 3, these three inverse demands. And that's all I did here mathematically. To get this middle section of the marginal social benefit curve, what did we do? We added up the second and third consumer's demand. That's what we did mathematically here. And finally, the third and final section of the marginal social benefit curve, that just relates to the third consumer's demand for this public good. And we just added up the third consumer's demand, which is just 15 minus Q. So just rewriting those values for the marginal social benefit curve. And now we can find the efficient quantity of the public good under the following scenarios. At a marginal cost of the public good of $40. So we're going to set marginal social benefit equal to marginal cost. And since we're dealing with a cost, marginal cost that is greater than 15, we're going to set our marginal social benefit 30 minus 3q equal to 40. So doing that and solving, we get a negative value. So negative values make no sense. So the efficient provision of the public good in this case at this high marginal cost of $40 is going to be 0. Let's try a marginal cost of 21. So 21 is greater than 15 here. So setting the marginal social benefit equal to the marginal cost and solving, dividing through by 3. The efficient provision of the public good when the marginal cost of providing the public good is $21 is going to be 3. Let's do a case where the marginal cost of providing the public good is $10. That will be in this range between 5 and 15. So we're going to set marginal cost equal to this marginal social benefit. And so that's what I do here. Solving, the efficient provision here is 7.5 units. So as the marginal cost of providing the public good falls, the efficient provision of it increases. And for D, we are going to set the marginal cost of the public good at $4. So here we're dealing with a value less than 5, so setting the marginal social benefit equal to 4, and solving the efficient provision here of the public good is 11. Let's just show this quickly graphically. So here's our marginal social benefit curve. Here's our marginal cost at 21. So we just found where that intersected the marginal social benefit curve, came down. That was 3 units. When the marginal cost of providing the public good was 10, we found that where that was equal to the marginal social benefit curve came down, that was 7.5 units. And then when the marginal cost was 4, we found when that was equal to the marginal social benefit curve at 11 units. And when the marginal cost was 40, okay, we're up here, and that's just 0. All right, I hope you found this video helpful.